Mengestu to present tonight's Freedom to Write Award.
Good evening. At the risk of stating the obvious, I couldn't help but think that in this year of anger and grief and mourning, it seems worth considering not only the impact, but also the logic and significance of what many of us consider to be Penn's most vital work: the advocacy and defense of writers who have been imprisoned, persecuted, and in some instances killed because they dared to share a post, write an article, essay, poem, or novel, all too often fully aware of the extraordinary risk of doing so. Like everyone in this room, I believe that we do this work not only because of our conviction that words have the power to shape and even transform the institutions and cultures we live within, but also because we know that writers all too often work alone, in silence and solitude, without the power or protection of the very institutions they hope to change. We know as well that they work all too often without the benefit of a system that says what you do matters, particularly in times of crisis, because without that work, what is there for the next generation to turn to once the dust has settled? We do this work at PEN America because we know that in order for the act of writing to survive as a practice and not as the memory of one, it requires a sustained and vigorous defense from all of us. While it's impossible to divorce this work from the political context in which it occurs, the logic undergirding PEN's advocacy is rooted, if anywhere, in our history as a literary organization. One that prioritizes complexity rather than reduction, that sits at a critical point where human dignity and the expression that extends from it demands equal respect and protection. Now, that is not an ambiguous middle ground. It is the hard and hopefully immovable center holding up this tent of ours. Our ability to defend and advocate for writers, to say that persecution and imprisonment must not be the price for sustaining and creating our cultural heritage, is dependent not only upon our commitment to that principle, but ultimately how we put it into practice. With the PEN Barbary Freedom to Write Award, we do our best to make that idea manifest. To say that persecution should not be the price for asking to live in a world in which our freedom of expression is equally granted and defended. Since 1987, 46 of our 53 honorees have been freed from jail, in part because of the attention this award and our related advocacy helps to generate. Tonight's PEN Freedom to Write Award goes to Pham Dong Shang. This evening, as we gather here in New York, Zhang is in a prison in Vietnam for criticizing the government, for calling for more democracy in her country. She's currently serving a 9-year sentence on charges of propaganda against the state, held in a remote prison far from her family, and she's been denied access to medical care. A brief glimpse into Pham Dong Zhang's courage in writing our evidence in this video.